Hi, have a pleasant day to each and everyone. I am Catherine Mercedes Santos from the Bachelor of Elementary Education from the University of Rizal System Angano Campus. And now I will be tackling about the Chicago Aristotelianism. So, Chicago Aristotelianism. Chicago Aristotelian criticism had its origins in the work of a group of critics based at the University of Chicago, of whom the most important was R.S. Green. Others were W.R. Kiss, Richard Machian, and Elder Olson. So, they constituted an important opposing force to the new criticism which had become dominant in American universities from the 1940s. So, the Chicago critics were sympathetic to historical scholarship, but unlike most traditional historical critics, they were also concerned with the need for literary criticism to develop a coherent theoretical basis. They argued that the kind of formalist approach favored by the early new critics was inadequate because it failed to take account of tradition poetics. They particularly stressed the importance of Aristotle's poetics since it was fundamental to literary study that one should distinguish between different types of literary discourse and not treat them as if they had been constructed on identical principles. So, Chicago Aristotelianism is the person of R.S. Green and W.R. Kiss, Richard Machian, and Elder Olson are the person who constituted an important opposing force to the new criticism that became a dominant in American universities in the year of 1940s. So, Chicago critics were sympathetic to historical scholarship, but unlike the traditional historical critics, they were also concerned with the need of the literary criticism. Then, let me proceed to the main part of my report. Wayne C. Booth. So, who is Wayne C. Booth? Wayne Clayson Booth was an American literary critic. So, Wayne C. Booth is the literary critic. He was an American and he critic of the literary. Next is who was the George he was the George M. Pullman Distinguished Service Professor Emeritus in English Language and Literature and the College at the University of Chicago. So, he is the Distinguished Service Professor Emeritus in English and Literature at the College of the University of Chicago. So, next are emotion, beliefs, and reader's objectivity. When we say emotions, everyone has their own emotions. When we say beliefs, everyone has their own beliefs. And the reader's objectivity. The reader's objectivity is the every literary work of any power, whether or not its author composed it with his audience in mind, is in fact an elaborate system of controls over the reader's involvement and detachment along various lines of interest. So, when we say this, the audience has their own controls of the reader's involvement and detachments along various lines of interest. This is the power of it's not an author composed, it's just audience in mind. It gives the readers know that the emotions, beliefs, and the objectivity of the book. Next are the values which interest us and which are thus available for technical manipulation in fiction may be roughly divided into three. This is the three kinds. Number 1, intellectual or cognitive. We have or can be made to have strong intellectual curiosity about the facts, the true interpretation, the true reasons, the true origins, the true motives, or the truth about life itself. So when we say intellectual or cognitive, it says that the truth of everything, the truth of the curiosity of the persons who read the book or who criticize the books. So it always the facts, the interpretation, the reasons, the origins, and the motives and the truth of life. The next is qualitative. We have or can be made to have a strong desire to see any pattern or form completed, or to experience a further development of qualities of any kind. We might call this kind aesthetic, if to do so did not suggest that a literary form using this interest was necessarily of more artistic value than one based on other interests. So when we say qualitative, it is aesthetic. When we say aesthetic, it's simple but has a lot of impact to the readers, and it get our interest. Next are the practical. We have or can be made to have a strong desire for the success or failure of those we love or hate, admire or detest, or we can be made to hope or for or fear of chance in the quality of a character. We might call this kind human, if to do so did not simply that 1 and 2 were somehow less than human. So when we say practical, it's all about a strong desire for the success. Every human can be can have a desire of being a successful person or not. Next is when this branded spectrum of interest in mind, we should now be in a somewhat more favorable position to consider the question of the author's and reader's belief. So this is a spectrum of interest in mind of the person. So this is the favorable position to consider or can be questions by the authors and the readers' beliefs. Next, most contemporary students of literature will agree that a writer's ideas have as little to do with his artistic talent as his personal morals. So, in this, the contemporary student had the agreement of the writer's ideas of the artistic talent of this person. Next is, according to Homer, Dante, Baron Corbo, or Ezra Pound, not many people would agree with the views of man, but whether or not agree with them should have little to do with whether or not we accept or reject their art. So, everyone can accept, everyone can reject. This is according to our own beliefs. If we accept the art of the other. Next is Maurice Beebe, the editor of Modern Fiction Studies, expressing once more a position that has been repeated again and again. So next, I.A. Richards says that we need no beliefs and Indeed, we must have none if we are to read King Lear. So, King Lear is the story of the king who had a palace and had a three daughters. Then he divided the palace to the three princesses. That's the story of King Lear. So next, on the other hand, the editor of a recent symposium on belief in literature finds common ground among all the participants in the conviction that literature involves assumptions and beliefs and sympathies, with which a large measure of concurrence is indispensable for reading of literature as literature and not another thing. So when we say literature, literature is a literature and no one can change it. Everyone can criticize it, but no one can change the literature. So when we say involves assumptions and beliefs, it gives us the involvement of the story of the literature, and it sympathies, it get our attention, it gets our feelings. Next, here we all know that a lot of authors and their work will be criticized by their readers, and this will be happening because we have a lot of different beliefs and practices. So, as I said a while ago, everyone had different beliefs and practices. So, it says that a lot of authors know that their work will be criticized by the readers, and this will be happening no matter what happened. This will be always happening. The readers will be always criticize their work, and because every readers has their own beliefs and practices. So next, the author creates, in short, an image of himself and another image of his readers. He makes his readers as he makes his second self. So, when we say this, the author creates his self to the readers. He get our attention. He get our attention and make it feel that we are the member of that story. Next, the Catholics cannot enjoy paradise lost more than they might a second-rate Catholic epic, or that Protestant cannot enjoy the habit of perfection more than they might a second-rate Protestant hymn. It means simply that differences of beliefs, even in the sense of abstract, speculative system, are always to some extent relevant, often seriously hampering and fatal. So, when we say this, that it means that simply the differences of beliefs. So, it says that it gives us the impact that, oh yes, everyone has their own beliefs, everyone has their own practices, everyone has their own differences. So when the Catholics cannot enjoy paradise lost, because let me give some example. Catholics had the lot of occasion. Catholics had more free than other religion, and this will always the fact that everyone can know that everyone had their own beliefs and practices no matter what happened. Thank you.